Alright guys, for those of y'all bitching about the cold, and it is cold out, it's that time of year. We've got to stay up on top of our game though, obviously. We got to get out to the range, we got to train. A lot of people like to stay in the house where it's nice and warm and kind of neglect the training. But if again you're in that lifestyle where, you know, firing a round or choosing the gun may determine life or death, in that righteous sense, whether you're military, law enforcement, or responsible armed citizen, we still got to get out here and train even though it's cold. So there's basically 3 things I can give you that are tips that help you on the range. Number 1 is clothing. And a lot of this is obvious, but there's some certain considerations that you got to take in. It is 20 degrees out here right now. It's about to snow, and I'm layered with 3 different layers, but it's still very slim, very tight, so I can keep my gun belt and stuff on. It doesn't get bulkier into the way or restrict my movement. So if you're in a job and you find yourself wearing all kinds of bulky equipment and stuff, try to tone it down, try to slim it down to where you can still manipulate the gun efficiently and effectively with no restriction. Gloves are a big deal. Sometimes guys don't wear gloves and then all of a sudden they throw them on. It gets cold out, so we got to put our gloves on. Make sure you go out and train with those gloves that you wear operationally. Okay, so those are some serious considerations you can take in there. If you're out on a range or in a course, okay, because I got a lot of guys in courses that's standing around or getting freezing and we're all complaining, and we got to keep that energy up. So if you're about to do drills or something that may determine a score, or maybe your competitor or something like that, start doing burpees, do some push-ups, get jumping around, get the fingers flowing so you can work that trigger control effectively. So keep moving is basically the point there. The second thing is when you wake up in the morning, don't just throw coffee down and go to the range. You're going to be freezing cold. Make sure you eat something that's solid. Make sure you got fuel in your body before you go ahead and put fuel in the gun, obviously. That's going to help you sustain, and then make sure you take a break. If you're out there all day in classes, I tell guys to eat is a good balanced breakfast, proteins, carbs, and fats, and balancing the 3 accordingly. You don't want to just have one, you got to have all 3. It's like taking medications, and it's the way your body digests those 3 core categories of food. You've got to understand that. So make sure you're eating properly. Take a snack break at like 9, 10 o'clock, and then take a good lunch, same in the afternoon, and then have a good dinner. Next time you come out to the range the next day, if it's in a class, you won't be hurting as bad, especially if it's cold out. Obviously keep hydrating. We all know this, it's cold out here. I don't want to go drink cold water, so what happens? You get dehydrated, but you got to stay on top of that. So make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids throughout the day, again, so you're not cramped up that night or the next morning if you show up to class, you're aching and hurting and moping around. The third category or core tip that I can give you is good mindset. Mindset is everything in shooting, as we all know, but sometimes it's hard to keep that good mindset, especially when it's cold and miserable out. If you attract the law of attraction, which meaning negative or positive, like if you come out here and say, man, it's freezing ass cold, it's going to suck today, well, you just made it come true right there. So make sure you're keeping a good positive attitude, guys. Make sure you've got the proper attire and clothing and equipment, and you're training with that equipment on out in these cold conditions, in these disruptive environments, and make sure you're eating good. All right? I'll see you out on the range. I'm Travis Haley. Stay sharp, be safe.